Welcome to Platinum Eagle Podcast, and I am your host, Platinum Eagle. Hey, I thank y'all so much for tuning in. It means a lot to me, like always. And I say that from the bottom of my heart. You know, y'all could be anywhere, doing anything with your time, but y'all rocking with me. It's a few, but I plan on multiplying them, inshallah, in great numbers. It might not ever be like the greatest podcast you ever seen, but guess what? I'm going to try to give my all to make sure it is at the end of the day. Right now, I'm starting low. I ain't got a microphone. I ain't got none of that stuff right now. But I promise you, we gonna strengthen it up because I'm a perfectionist. Right now, you might not see it so much. You might, but pretty soon, you're gonna see my vision. So I want to talk about the game we just won against the Giants and the game that's coming up against the Green Bay Packers. First, I'll talk about the Giants, okay? So let's talk about our quarterback. He's a third stringer. Let's talk about Kenny Pickett as well, who was out of the game. We've seen what happened last week. He's out of the game. In comes Tanner McKee. A lot of Eagles fans, for those who's not Eagles fans, to give y'all a little bit of background, you know, we in preseason, Eagles fans mostly wanted Tanner McKee, our third stringer, who we got last season, I think it was. He's a rookie this year, or I think he's the second year. So we saw him in the preseason, and of course he's playing against the third stringers, you know what I mean, and the second stringers. So of course, he's going to look naturally better than Kenny Pickett, who was playing against the first and the second stringers. So Kenny Pickett looked pretty awful in the preseason. He looked pretty terrible, you know, if I'm being honest. He didn't play that bad when he came in to fill in for Jalen Hurts before he got hurt. You know what I'm saying? But he's still no world beater. He's a serviceable quarterback. He played, got some experience in Pittsburgh, got drafted by Pittsburgh. We ended up getting him in the offseason. So that's that. But like I was saying, Kenny Pickett was going against the first and second stringers in the preseason. Tanner McKee, the guy that y'all saw play against the Giants this past week, he, like I said, playing against third strings. So he looked pretty good. You know what I mean? Albeit against third stringers, he looked pretty good. I mean, he was throwing, you know, he had pretty good accuracy. He's a statue, so he's not one who's going to run out of the pocket too much because he's not really all that mobile. But he got an arm, he can sling the ball. You know what I mean? So all of the Eagles fans was like, yeah, we might think we got something going on with him. You know what I'm saying? So they want to see him over Kenny Pickett when Kenny Pickett came in for us when Jalen Hurts got hurt. Kenny Pickett ended up getting hurt against the Cowboys. The quarterback that played against the New York Giants, Tanner McKee, would come in and fill in the whole game this past weekend. So he looked pretty good. He looked pretty sharp. It's some things that he got to learn. Of course, he's been cold. This is his first NFL snaps as an actual NFL game instead of preseason. So, like I said, I thought he looked pretty good. And a lot of Eagles fans, some of them are real wild and bananas, you know what I'm saying, dare I say it, that they think that he's better than Jalen Hurts. Now, that's funny to me. That's mad funny to me, you know what I'm saying? But we already know y'all funny. Anyway, Jalen Hurts, you know, here's some things he can work on to make his game better. And I'm sure he'll be the first one to tell you that he's not a finished product. And we don't need a finished product right now. We just need him good enough to win a Super Bowl. I digress. But I want to make sure y'all know a little bit of the, you know, context of the whole situation before I get into the video. So Tanner McKee would come in and throw 2 touchdowns, would throw for 269 yards. He looked pretty sharp. You know what I mean? I didn't see his passer rating, but his passer rating is pretty high. You know, it's over 100. So that's all I need to know. He got sacked a couple times in the game. In fact, I'll show you one. Tanner McKee is the number 2. That's all I'm going to say. Tanner McKee is a viable number 2 for the Philadelphia Eagles, or really any team if the Eagles want to sling him to another team, you know, at the end of the season. But I like to keep on to a good backup quarterback. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. Of course, like I always say, he's no Jalen Hurts, and I don't expect him to be Jalen Hurts. I expect him to be Tanner McKee. I think he has some things that may be, as I talked a little bit earlier, may be just a little bit better than Jalen Hurts. But everybody going to have their, you know, ups and, you know, everybody going to have little qualities that one probably don't possess so much because Tanner McKee can't run out the pocket and can't make things happen. They did a brotherly shove a couple times. The brotherly shove looked pretty decent. You know, it wasn't Jalen Hurts-esque or nothing like that, but it was pretty decent. We got the first down. That's all we need. Tanner McKee would throw for over 160 in the first half, which is pretty good. He was kind of cooking, you know what I mean? He kind of tapered off towards the end of the game, but I don't know if they're showing more conservative plays, the coaches that is, or not. You know what I mean? Coaches. They trying to pluck our coaches from us already. You know what I'm saying? They trying to get Vic Fangio, and he has no desire to leave Philadelphia, which I love that, our defensive coordinator. And they trying to take Kellen Moore, which he's always been, he's our OC, our offensive coordinator. He's always wanted to be a head coach. I mean, he was having aspirations before he came to Philadelphia, I'd imagine. I mean, but nonetheless, we already know who our coach is, Nick Sirianni. So he's not going to be the coach over here. So hopefully he want to stay as well. But he got some interviews starting with New Orleans Saints. They want to know if they can interview him. And a couple other teams, I believe, that that's not doing too well. Tennessee Titans. So we'll see where it shakes out. I would hate to see Jalen Hurts go into another scheme next year. You know what I'm saying? Because he's been through scheme after scheme after scheme since he came to the league. I mean, perhaps Steichen, he only had for 2 years. You know what I mean? But still, how's he? I guess he gets better because you get to learn a whole bunch of different schemes. After a while, there's really nothing new that they can really throw at you to some extent. But, so yeah, they trying to get our coaches. So, you know, hopefully Kellen Moore look at it and say, okay, let me stick around for, especially if we win the Super Bowl, which I'm hoping we do and I'm praying we do. So hopefully Kellen Moore, be it that happen, will say, man, you know, well, I'm actually winning over here. You know what I mean? I want to stick around and see where this takes us for the next 1 or 2 more years. I mean, all I will ask for them is another couple of years. I think we really have a really good team, a strong team that can get it done, not just now, but years to come as well. But I'm thinking, like, stick around for the ride, though. You know what I mean? Especially if we win a championship. And if you get an offer after that, cool. Because what happens a lot of times with these coaches is they'll go somewhere else to a bad team usually, and the bad team they're on and coaching for, trying to turn it around. A lot of times that don't happen. So they go to other places, the coaches does, and end up getting fired within a year or two of even getting a job. And after that, usually no other coaches want to touch him for a while. Maybe as an OC, like where he started off at, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, if he's a defensive coordinator. So that's usually what happened. A lot of times, these coaches don't have a lot of success. Now, I understand you want to get, you know, paid a lot more money if that's the case, and you want to have your own team and run it and see if you can change it around and be the reason that it's changed around. I get it. But I think you should take the proper steps before doing it if you're on the Philadelphia Eagles squad right now. Right now, I don't know who, as coaches, will want to leave this organization right now. You know what I mean? That's just me keeping it a buck. This video won't be too long. I mean, I appreciate y'all listening to it. I do talk off the subject, and the reason why I'm doing that because this week here, yeah, we got a week coming up, but the last game was a meaningless game. If I'm keeping it a bean, y'all know already. If you following football, if you're not, it was a meaningless game. The Philadelphia Eagles could have lost that game, or we won the game. But we could have lost it even so, and I hope we keep winning. I gotta keep saying winning more than loss. win. Anyway, if we didn't win that game still, we would have still been in the playoffs. We would have still been number 2 seed. It didn't change anything. We just want to see how our backups will fare against the actual starters of the New York Giants. And again, I think they did pretty good. And I'll talk about it in a second. That's why I'm going more in depth as to the Eagles news and, you know, all the happenings, what's going on in our franchise right now. And kind of filling some people in there who's not filled in, because some of y'all watch the podcast. You're not really Eagles fans. So it's up to me to give you Eagles news that you can use if you know it. If you got an Eagles fan, you can talk to them about it. They'll be on the same. We be here because, you know what I'm saying? I know what I'm talking about. Tanner McKee did a pretty good job, like I said before. I think he's got potential. He's going somewhere, and I'm about to get off McKee, but I wanted to talk about, you know, how good of a job he did, and I want to give him a shout out. Shout out to Tanner McKee. He was on top of the world. Hey, I'm proud of you. I just hope that, you know, you can keep it up for the Philadelphia Eagles and win whenever needed. Hopefully it's no time soon. But I want to apologize to Kenny Pickett too. You know what I'm saying? Because I did say if we was to lose Hurts for a game or two, we would be in trouble. And actually, like I said, y'all filled in pretty well. We're not in trouble. We actually did pretty good. I don't want to have y'all come in for him no time soon, if I'm being honest. But, you know, y'all did a good job when y'all had to do a good job. So, now Jahan Dotson. Man, I don't understand why we haven't really been using him as much as we should have been. Am I going to say you take away A.J. Brown's and Devontae Smith's and whomever else the ball catcher snaps would be, or even opportunities? I guess maybe a little bit, because you have to in order to get Jahan Dotson in the ball game, but you don't even know that he's on a team a lot of time because you don't even hear his name being called. Every once in a while, they might, throw him the ball. I think he got thrown the ball on average for a while. Hurts, I don't know if he's just not comfortable with him. I don't know what it is exactly, but I do know that he should use him more. I mean, it's kind of criminal not to use him more. The guys clearly showed that he can play. He had a 19-yard catch for a first down. I mean, he was cooking. Anytime Tanner McKee, and he went to him often, threw him the ball, he was ready to make a play. And he did make a play. I don't even know if he dropped a pass. If he did, it was only a pass. I mean, he was cooking out there, for real, for real. You know what I'm saying? And this is their starters. This is not our third stringers and their third stringers. They're their Giants starters. Now, we already know the Giants is buns. We all know that. But I'm saying, like, it's still an NFL team. And even the NFL team, is pretty good at some capacity. Probably not so much against another NFL team, but they got potential. You know what I mean? They in the NFL for a reason. So we got Dallas Goedert back from injury. Dallas Goedert is definitely someone we're going to need going forward in the playoffs because he's a big body that Hurts like throwing the ball to, and he catches the ball just about, I would say, 95% or more of the time. And he's a really, really strong carrier after he gets the ball in his hand. Like I said before in previous videos, he ain't going to go down just because you're in front of him. He's going to try to muscle you to the ground unless you get him down to the ground. And I love that type of play from him. Calcaterra is the same. Both of those tight ends are very physical. Actually, a lot of tight ends in the league is pretty much trending that direction. As far as, I think it's more tight ends now in the NFL right now that I'm seeing that's actually muscling the smaller DBs, and some of the linebackers. I mean, they're handling their business. They don't mind initiating contact. They don't mind breaking you down if they can get you out of their way just to get some more yards. So I like the way it's trending as far as tight ends. And speaking of tight ends, we might need to draft another one because Dallas Goedert is getting old, and he has gotten injuries almost every year, if not every year. So we're going to need to get, another tight end, not to replace Dallas Goedert. I want him on the squad until he retired. I love Dallas Goedert. That's my guy. But I'm saying, Calcaterra stepped in his absence a lot this season. Calcaterra, he didn't flinch. Calcaterra is also one who will muscle you to the ground. He's also one not to be slept on. And the only thing I really have against him as a knock is he's not really a great blocking tight end, as I said before. And if you change that, Calcaterra probably would be the complete package because Calcaterra has really aggressive type of route running. His route running is pretty crisp. So that's a great plus that he got over even, I think, Dallas Goedert. And I think Dallas Goedert is a really good route runner, but Calcaterra, I think, is more crisp, especially for his size. And as far as tight ends going forward, we definitely going to have to do something about that position unless we plan on keeping Grant Calcaterra in the future, which I don't know. He might be able to stick around. I mean, he's been injured, I think, one time this year, but for the most part, he's been on the field, especially in the absence of Dallas Goedert. He's been doing his thing. And the name that y'all probably haven't heard much before, if at all, is our rookie wide receiver, Ainias Smith. Ainias Smith, he got a couple chances to shine in the game. I think he did drop a pass, but other than that, he was pretty much on the money. I think he got a touchdown pass as well. His first touchdown pass in the NFL of his career. So Ainias Smith, shout out to you. I was a little nervous about him at first, and I still got my little reservations. But in the beginning part of the season, when we drafted him, and he played in preseason, Ainias Smith was dropping the ball a whole lot. So maybe they got him on them jug machines, and he's a lot more crisper with catching the ball. Like I said, he did drop one, but he did catch more than he dropped in his game, including the touchdown. Like I said, first touchdown in his NFL career. Here's another rookie that you might not have heard his name before until now. Will Shipley. He's our running back. We drafted him this offseason. He's not had his chance to shine so much this season, mainly because Saquon Barkley and Kenny Gainwell at times was doing their thing, man. So a lot of names, like I said in this video, that you probably will hear for the first time on this video. You probably won't hear, hopefully you don't hear nothing about him no time soon this season anyway, because that means somebody got injured, or better yet, if you do hear from him, that means we just kicking somebody's tail, kicking another team's tail, and they got him in there because we don't want to get our guys hurt. I go for the latter. But Will Shipley, he would have a pretty decent day on the ground, rushing the ball. He is a really good pass catcher. So if you can use him as a wide receiver, a lot of times that's your best bet with him. I don't know if I'm putting him in there as a wide receiver. I mean, we got wide receivers for days. It was crazy because a couple of years ago, we didn't have no wide receivers. We had a whole bunch of no names and, guys just running on the field pretty much with a Philadelphia Eagles uniform on for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Don't be wrong. I'm not saying it was all the way bums, but in terms of who we got now and in comparison to that, I mean, it's very lopsided in the favor of us having really, really good talent and not so much. And I shout out to those guys because some of them guys was those who actually helped us get to the playoffs in 2019. Will Shipley went out for a pass and he would snag a ball from Tanner McKee and it gives the first down. And it looked like, I think he got the first down, but it looked like Tanner McKee was about to get sacked on that play, as you can see. But like I said, Will Shipley, he shows a lot of promise. I think that we'll be okay with him moving forward. If we decide to go away from Gainwell, I think Will Shipley still will be a pretty good addition to our offense. And he's not a Saquon Barkley. You only got one of those. If you wanted to, you can actually either draft another really good running back in the offseason, which we'll talk about in the offseason, obviously. But you can draft him and have a 1-2 punch with Saquon Barkley and that nice running back addition. And Will Shipley to fill in and still not miss a beat pretty much when those guys are down. I know Will Shipley probably don't want to be a third stringer for the rest of his career, but he's going to have to show that he's ready to play. He's ready to take on the challenges that he's going to be needed to take on. So on that run pass from Tanner McKee to Shipley, it was great awareness from Tanner McKee, knowing that somebody was in his face. So he needed to dump the ball off to his running back, and his running back would be so elusive, strutting down the field, and almost made a touchdown on that right there. But I think he got tackled about 10, 12 yards away from the end zone. But yeah, man, I'm liking what I see from my young pups, man. I'm young pups out there doing their thing for real. I thought the game was pretty exciting considering that we had our backups in there, and I think it was pretty exciting. A lot of people say, fans especially, Eagles fans will say that it wasn't really it was kind of boring. They say AJ Brown was going to sleep on the sideline. AJ Brown said he was praying. So I personally, regardless of what anybody thought it was, I thought it was a pretty decent outing by our guys. Yeah, it was kind of like a preseason-esque type of game. However, we wasn't in preseason. Them guys were serious, and we were serious as well. So did I expect them to win 3 or 4 games? Kinda. They whack. They're a bad team. But they're a bad team with one good thing going for them right now, and that's Malik Nabers. Their wide receiver, he is the best thing on their offense. Let's keep it a buck. The touchdown that Malik Nabers made was crazy. You know what I'm saying? It was all instinct. The man, knew exactly where he was on the field, and he didn't have time to think about anything. He just had to do it based on who was in front of him. And he did a really good job at marching down to the end zone and making that touchdown and jumping and diving into the end zone at the end of that play. So, man, I got to give it up when I have to give it up. Do I like the team of the Giants? No, absolutely not. Do I love to see that happen to the Philadelphia Eagles, even the backups? No, absolutely not. But you got to give it up when you got to give it up, man. Heads up to Malik Nabers. He does drop the ball quite a bit. He said he got to get on the jugs and work on the offseason. Hopefully he stays right where he is when it comes to that, especially playing for the New York Giants. He can keep on dropping them. I'm cool with that. But all seriousness, Malik Nabers is a pretty good player. I mean, I think that he's going to have a pretty good career. He just can't stay on the Giants team because he was already chirping about he didn't want to play on a whack team. He said something to that regard, but I don't blame him. He can't help who he gets drafted to, but he got to do it. He got to stick in and play ball and see what happens and see if anybody will pick him up or whatever, if the Giants just so happen to stink for the next 15, 20 years. And I hope they do. And that's being all serious too. I don't like the Giants. When they be winning, see right now they kind of quiet. They slow. They shh. You don't hear nothing from Giants fans. And usually if I had an Eagles, whatever paraphernalia I got on, speaking of which, we rocking Michael Vick. I had it since 2010. I had it ever since then. It's the real joint. Ain't no little fugazi. Ain't no fugazi. Now let's head over to the defense. Sidney Brown. Why ain't he playing more games than he's playing? I understand that you thought Tristan McCullum was good, was okay. He's okay. He makes plays. He's not a bum. I'm not saying he's a bum, Tristan McCullum. But I say Sidney Brown is one who shows more promise, in my opinion. Cindy Brown is a hard hitter. I mean, that guy, he's like a crash dummy almost. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's trying to take your block off. It's to a fault sometimes, though, because when he comes in and crash at you like that, you know, he can get concussions. In fact, he got a concussion this season. I think he got a concussion last season, if I'm not mistaken. I know he had 2 concussions since he's been with the Philadelphia Eagles in the last 2 years. So, and they always say after the first one, the second one, and even then, is more easier to get. So, I like for Cindy Brown to time his collision and not just colliding against you. Because even looking at this right here, he hit his own boy trying to hit Malik Neighbors. He hit his own boy. You know what I'm saying? Isaiah Rodgers. You know what I'm saying? Like, collided to both of them. Like, it's like he didn't even see where he was going. He's like, blah! He's just breaking off anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, anybody can get it. That's how he did it, though. You know what I mean? But Cindy Brown got a couple picks throughout his career. His short career, albeit. But Cindy Brown is pretty good. You know, he kind of reminded me of my son, Jovan. He didn't have a really good day as far as tackling, but he did get the pick. So kudos to him for getting the pick. Cindy Brown, he got potential. Hopefully, I like to see what he looked like in year 3, hopefully with more playing time, because he's only playing because the starters are not playing, and he has been sprinkled in the game plan a little bit throughout the season, but it's a real small sample size. So we haven't really seen what Cindy Brown could actually look like playing a full season, and that's one thing that I want to see, hopefully, inshallah, next season, because even last season, when it was a debacle as far as our defense was trash, all the way trash. He was on a bad defense, and he didn't do a whole lot except, like I said, record that 1 pick against the Arizona Cardinals late in the season. And our linebacker, Oren Burks, like I said, a guy that we got from San Francisco, he's a linebacker. He filled in for Nakobe Dean last week against the Cowboys, and he played again this week here. Is like I said, he's not a starter, so obviously if he's filling in for somebody, he's not a starter. So but he played a real solid game last week and this week. I think he has 17 tackles. That's a pretty decent outing right there. I mean, the guy was all over the field. I mean, anytime the defense was on the field, he had something to say about what the offense was doing. I mean, a lot of plays were stopped because of his third down stop to shut down the runner who was running the ball, Tracy, or whomever was running the ball at the time. You know what I'm saying? Him and Bond be all over the place. So our linebacker coaches, they've been doing a phenomenal job. I mean, the whole defense really, but them linebackers has really been the biggest difference between who we have been in the last past, I would say 5 or 6 years, for real. Probably even longer than that. Oh yeah, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I mean, his dad played for the Philadelphia Eagles back in the day when we went to the Super Bowl back in 2004-2005 season. And, of course, played years before that as well. But he was a punisher. His son, they say the apples don't fall too far from the tree. He be trying to punish you too. Now, he got to polish up his game as well. He's missed some tackles. But usually he's going to get you. If he gets some kind of connection with you, usually he's going to bring you down. But linebacker room, they have been phenomenal. Zach Bond, Nakobe Dean, Oren Burks, and Trotter, all y'all. The offensive line, defensive line, special teams. Oh, special teams, got to clean it up. And I'll talk about you in a minute, Jake Elliott. Kelee Ringo, a second-year player, he had a stunning, he just cracked the, you know what I'm saying? It's one thing you're not going to beat him on. You're not going to beat him on toughness. That guy's going to hit you hard. And I'm talking about, he's going to try to knock your socks off. What I'm talking about is that play when he was hitting the punt returner. The punt returner was running up the field, or thought he was anyway. Here come Ringo. Bow! Crushed him, brought him back a couple yards and laid him down on the ground like he was supposed to be. It's great to have depth in this situation when the Philadelphia Eagles a couple years ago didn't have much depth when it came to the cornerback position. I mean, we was pretty much in shambles. I mean, real talk, about 4 years ago, even 3 years ago, you know what I'm saying, we had the Rager and all that stuff, you know what I'm talking about, if y'all know. But like I said, the defensive lineman was the only thing that we had that going for us. Offensive line and defensive line. Wide receivers was not the answer back in the day, back a few years ago. Tight end, we had some pretty good tight ends. Linebackers, we didn't have no linebackers, as I just got finished saying. We definitely didn't have no cornerbacks. We had Slay, but as far as anybody else that was viable, other than Bradbury's year, 2022, when he played his best year, we really didn't have a lot of good, depth on either sides of the ball. So shout out to Howie Roseman for putting this here dynamic team together, but it don't mean nothing if we can't go out there and win a chip. Drew Lock, last season, when he was in Seattle, he got the best of us. He carved us up. Like I said, our defense last year was whack. He carved us up. But this season, even with the third stringers in town and the second stringers, nah, not this season. Drew Lock was put in his place. He gonna throw the ball straight to Sidney Brown. Sidney Brown pick it off. You know what I'm saying? And that ends the game. The game is won by then. And I covered this a little bit earlier in the video, but I had to bring it up because Drew Lock know the difference between last season's defense and this season's defense. It's night and day. And we handled him that L this time. We should have held into him last time, but he's picking on Bradbury. Bradbury got dumped on, and that's what that's what we got. So now you know who the real Philadelphia Eagles defense is, Drew Lock. But shout out for you. Go out there and try to make something happen for your team. But nah. Do it next week or something. Oh, that's right. Y'all ain't playing next week. E.J. Jenkins was snagged a touchdown from Tanner McKee. And I think that's his first touchdown as well in the NFL as a rookie. So it's a tight end. I think he's a second string. Maybe no, he's down a depth chart. He's probably the fourth string tight end because we got Dallas Goedert, we got Calcaterra. Yeah, so he's probably the third tight end that we have on the team. Mr. E.J. Jenkins, like I said, grabbing a tutty out the end zone. Jake Elliott, he made a kick and he missed the kick. I think he missed the kick first, but then he would go again and kick it again right before halftime and getting the 3 points. But the problem is, I think, because he usually, well, first of all, let me slow down. He's up and down every week. He's making some, then he missed some. Then he makes some, then he missed some. And it's been like that all season long. I need him to just keep making them, like I keep saying on these videos. But I noticed, though, as everybody always talk about as well, that when he kicks the kickoff, Jake Elliott that is, he seemed to play a whole lot better as far as kicking the longer field goals. So I think that's what he need to do. He need to keep him in the game. He need to be on the field every time there's a kick in play for the Philadelphia Eagles. He only, kick, punt. I mean, Brayden Mann's a punter, of course. So, but anytime you kick in the kickoff or a field goal, Jake Elliott need to be the one doing it because I don't know if he's on the sideline cold. I don't know what it is. It's hard. It's hard for me to even describe. Only Jake Elliott and Allah himself can only describe that. Other than that, I don't understand what man Jake Elliott is doing, man. But I don't want to lose a football game because of you, Jake. I don't want to lose a football game because of you. You know what I'm saying? I don't. That's what I dread. You're about the only one, and it's crazy because he was always clutch. Jake was about 2-3 years ago. Not last year, because last year he started falling off a little bit as well. But 2 years ago, and like since the Super Bowl year, he's been clutch. He missed some, don't get me wrong, but this season is definitely the worst season he had so far as Philadelphia Eagle, but he need to pick that up. So whatever they need to do to get him up there, pick it up, because now it's a little bit more intense when it comes to seeing him on the field because he's not automatic anymore, you know what I mean? But anyway, Jake Elliott, man, we gonna need you to win a Super Bowl championship for us if it comes down to the line on that, you know what I'm saying? So I need you to clean it up, man. I keep saying it. I know you don't hear these videos, and it's okay. But I need you to clean it up, Jake Elliott. Green Bay will lose to the Bears. 22-24. Bears win. So that makes them our opposition, Green Bay that is, this coming week. My Bears are out of playoffs. They're not going anywhere but to the couch and watch some football, perhaps. But the Green Bay Packers are going to be playing in Philadelphia this coming Sunday. I think it's at 3 o'clock, 3:30. I think it is 3:30 our time. If you're 3:30 Central Time, I think it's 4:30 Eastern Time. So anyway, Green Bay is going to have to get bodied, and I'm going to talk about that in another video. It won't be nearly as long because there's nothing I need to really talk about except what we need to do to go ahead and do what we did the first time, except better. Pretty much. That's what I'm gonna talk about. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't talked to y'all the first week because I wasn't Platinum Eagle podcast then. You know what I'm saying? So, but we'll talk about it this time. Washington wins against the Cowboys. I thought Cowboys were gonna get them at first. I ain't gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? In fact, I wanted the Cowboys to get them in a sense because I wanted to get them. If they'd have lost, So yeah, if the Washington team would have lost, then they'd had to come to the Philadelphia Eagles, the 7th seed. So I'm here for the smoke. You know what I'm saying? We owe y'all anyway on a fluky play by Devontae Smith and a couple other guys who could have caught the ball, but they kept dropping it. We wanted that get back. You know what I mean? And we might still get it. If y'all can win and we can win this week coming up, we might be able to get that. Of course, I think y'all will still play, if y'all win and we win, I think y'all will still play the Rams, between the Rams and the Vikings. Either way, if y'all win, that is. Either way, only way we can play each other probably, if y'all can make it there, if we can make it there, of course, I'm being humble now, is to the NFC Championship game. We'll go ahead and break you off there. You know what I'm saying? But, inshallah. But, like I said, I thank y'all so much for tuning in. It's been fun. It's been great. You know what I'm saying? So I can let out what I got in me talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, man. You know what I'm saying? So now y'all, we on the same page. We here now. You know what I'm saying? Platinum Eagle Podcast is in the building. And I thank y'all so much for liking my videos, for subscribing to the channel, and for rocking with your boy. Y'all fun with me. Fun with your boy. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate it. We gonna get out of here, y'all.